Good morning. Today we look again at Matthew 6. We're going to read from verse 19 through the end. Some of you wonder about the Bible, reading the Bible in a year. And the program I use is Bible Gateway. And if you just simply type Bible Gateway into your search engine, it'll come up and you just go about BibleGateway.com. And they have several different reading plans of the Bible. You can read just the New Testament, just the Old Testament. You can read both Old and New in a year's time, chronologically. I do the Old and New together, and so today would be reading, I think, Genesis 20 through 22 and Matthew 6, 19 through the end. It's just a nice way to read through the Bible, and you don't get bogged down in anything that way. And I think that's one of the nice things about doing it the way this works out. So in chapter 6 today, where we start, verse 19, it says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and thieves and rust can come and destroy and steal it and stuff. Store up treasures in heaven." In verse 21, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." And I know there have been some of you have posted wondering about a Bible verse for the week, for your devotions. That's a good one. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And also from chapter 6, verse 33 rather, "But strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things will be given to you as well." But don't store up treasures in here on earth. I mean, as we're working, as we're going through making our living day to day, we need to plan for the future. We need to plan for our retirement, and we get savings accounts and IRAs and pension deals, and we need to do that. But what Jesus is saying here is make sure that your heart is right with God. Make sure that your name is written in the book of life that was talked about in the book of in Revelation, as we've read that in December. It's good to work here on earth, and it's good to have a house and a car and all of these things, but what's most important in life is your relationship with God. And Jesus is just saying, make sure you're right with God. And then it says, like I said, verse 33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things will be added. When we're right with God, everything else seems to go so much better. And as I've talked with people, and about how much to give, tithing or whatever. And it doesn't matter how much you give to your church or to your charities and that kind of stuff. But if it's the leftovers, at the end of the month, it's different. If you give first, you say, this is what I'm going to do. There always seems to be enough somehow. But when our priorities are what we got to talk about. And then Jesus goes on, verse 22, he says, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is healthy, so the rest of your body will be healthy. If the light from the eye is darkness, how great will that darkness be?" The eye, we see, and I think about, people with macular degeneration or that have lost their sight later in life and can no longer see, but they adapt. But Jesus isn't talking about just what we see physically with our eyes. We can look outside and see the trees and a little bit of fog this morning. But Jesus is talking more, I think, about our outlook on life. If the light in you is darkness, how great is the darkness, is the end of verse 23. And think about people that there are pessimists, right? And they look on the dark side of everything. It's always, oh, woe is me type deal. The glass is half empty. The optimist, the glass is half full. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. Today's going to be a great day. And, outlook on life, So Jesus isn't talking about just what we see when we are outside or when we're looking around, in the building here. But he's talking about our outlook on life, And if our outlook on life is positive, it makes all the difference in the world. Think about your friends again, people that you associate with. The ones that you enjoy being with the most, well, they enjoy doing the things that you do as well, but they're the ones that are upbeat, joyful, looking on the bright side of things, confident expectation of good things rather than Oh, I wonder what's going to go wrong today. If you start your day with that attitude, I mean, your whole day can just change, and just go downhill. Whereas you start the day with, this is the day the Lord has made, let us rejoice and be glad in it. I mean, wonderful things can happen. He says, no one can serve two masters. And that is so true. I mean, we can't divide our devotion that way. And so Jesus is saying, put God first in all of those things. You can't serve God and wealth. You can't serve God and the world. I mean, if we put everything else before God, it just doesn't work that way so very well. And then he says, don't worry about your life, what you eat or what you drink, or your body, what you wear. Is not life more than food, clothing, and those things? And talks about the birds of the air and how brilliantly God clothes them. And I think about pictures of birds, some, like the little sparrows, they don't have much color. But then you think about a peacock, you think about the majesty of a bald eagle, the dark black feathers and the bright white head, not that the black and white is so great, but, God has created so much beauty in nature. And so Jesus is saying, don't worry so much about who you are and what you look like or what you're wearing. You don't have to impress everybody that way. I got a good little joke on myself, though. I mean, you notice maybe sometimes that I wear the same sweatshirt 2 days or maybe 3 days in a row. Well, the other day I wore that same gray sweatshirt, and when I went to upload this on a YouTube channel, I uploaded the same day twice. And, so, it does, you have to be paying a little bit of attention that way, but, what we wear really doesn't make that much difference. I mean, I'm out in my wood shop right now. I am an ordained pastor. I don't need to have a clergy shirt and a collar on. I don't need on Sunday mornings. I mean, it's nice to wear an alb and a stole and to dress for the office of pastor that way sometimes. But that doesn't make me any more a pastor than I am sitting here in my wood shop visiting with you today. Perception and acceptance for who you are. And this is part of what Jesus is talking about in here as, with what you eat and what you wear, and all of these things, it's be confident in who you are, be comfortable in who you are, and don't worry about a lot of the little things. He says, don't worry about what you'll eat or what you'll drink or what you wear. Well, I mean, we do need to worry about, I don't want to say worry. We need to be aware and we need to be planning. It's just like, storing up treasures on earth. We don't need to store up all our treasures on earth, but we do plan for the future. And we don't need to worry about tomorrow. I mean, the last verse of this says, so don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today. And that is so true. And like I said, we need to plan for tomorrow. We need to plan for next week. But today is what we've got. And this moment is where we're living. We're not living tomorrow. We're not living yesterday. We're living right now. And so to embrace now is what's so often difficult. Because, we want to prepare. I mean, you got company coming. Well, you want to make sure you got food prepared. What's your meal plan? We got a clean bed for them to sleep. We got this and that and everything going on. Another thing we do sometimes is, we've been pretty fortunate with our weather. Not a lot of snow. It's been warm. I mean, today is almost 30 degrees outside already. Yeah, the roads are a little bit icy some places. So, today is the day that we take today for what it is. Next week could change. We could have cold weather, which would be more normal for now. We could have a snowstorm. We could have a blizzard. But don't let what might happen next week rob your opportunity for joy today. Don't let worrying so much about the future affect how you live today. And so in all of this, I think this is what Jesus is getting at. Where your treasure is, there your heart is. Don't worry about, what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, we can't add 1 minute of anything to our life by worrying. And so to live joyfully in the moment. And if you can't live joyfully in the moment, at least contentedly. To be accepting of what's going on in your life, knowing that Other people have troubles too, knowing that even though your life may not be the perfect life that you imagined, that with God in our lives, it's better than it would be without. So much better than it would be without. So, Jesus' words of advice as we close chapter 6, I'm just going to share it again. So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today. And on the bright side, God's blessings are enough for today. May he richly bless you and help you have a positive outlook on life.